Hi everyone, Danny here with Groundstate Tarot, coming to you with a special video where I want to dive into why I have decided to pursue this in a very real, serious, dedicated way. And I purposefully laid out all of the decks that I've collected in a year. It's been a year. The tarot found me January 24th, 2025, last year. And from that day forward, I haven't looked back. And as you can see, I have the proof. um, I I dove into the deep end, and I guess what I'm trying to relay is that I take this very, very seriously. It's something that I decided to become as proficient at as I possibly can, knowing that I will only get better with age, understanding that I am relatively young when it comes to exploring this as a self-reflective surface. But having said all of that, because of the way that my life has unfolded, I now realize I was given the opportunity to explore this in a very contained way, especially because the tarot found me at a time of transition in my life when I was letting go of an old identity, an old career, letting go of a relationship, a long-term relationship, letting go of a lot of things that I was carrying from childhood as well. Pretty much a midlife crisis. We might as well call it what it is. I like to joke that it's an early midlife crisis. But jokes aside, I was gifted this space of forced stillness to really be able to understand what it is that's happening here, at least from what I can tell from this vantage point after really diving deep into the technology, let's call it, of divination. And that's a great segue to try to explain how I view all of these different decks, right? So the best way I can describe what I'm doing here, I'm accessing the subconscious. I'm accessing the collective unconscious through the subconscious, through mine, and when I tap into someone else during a reading, I tap into theirs. When I do a reading, trying to gauge the energy of a person, place, or thing or situation, I tap into the subconscious energy of that which I just described, and also connect to the collective umbrella, so to speak, okay? So we've established that we're tapping into, so that you can understand what I'm trying to get at here, we're tapping into the internet, so to speak. And so when you look at it that way, I want you to think of each of these as, for example, this is ChatGPT, this is Gemini, this is Claude, this is Perplexity, this is XAI, gross, but whatever. You get the point. They all access the internet, they all access the data that has been aggregated in the World Wide Web. they access all of that information just the same way that these decks can tap into the collective unconscious. It's the exact same thing. So I want you to begin to understand that this isn't necessarily a fortune telling, magic trick, freak circus sideshow kind of thing happening here. A lot of people, unfortunately, have given it that that connotation, but I feel that it's unfair. I feel that it's like a caricature of what it really is, and so I want you to think of it more in terms of the way that the ink blot test in psychology, the Rorschach test, allows therapists to tap into the unconscious parts, the subconscious parts of their clients that they're trying to help. And so, in a very similar way, when I draw cards and I show you the image, that begins to stir something within on a subconscious level. And when you attach that to your intuition, and when I combine it with my intuition, we're able to pull a message the same way that we can pull answers from AI when you give it a proper prompt. Knowing how to prompt AI is what makes what determines whether or not you will get the best possible answer out of AI. It's learning how to interact with it, how to ask it the right questions. The exact same concept applies to tarot and oracle decks, specifically this type of divination. There are other forms. There's astrology, there's runes, there's corn kernels, there's all sorts of different ways of, the pendulums. All of those are, in a way, different types of technologies that can access that internet / collective unconscious that I'm referring to. So I am trying to also demystify all of this, because at least from my perspective, having grown up in a Catholic environment where all of this was absolutely not okay and not at all promoted, or it was actually it still very much is looked down upon. My goal here is to demystify it, to bring it down to earth a little bit without losing the spiritual undergirding infrastructure that really gives all of this its weight, its gravity, its meaning. And so I, again, wanted to kind of go in a little deeper into what exactly I'm attempting to do here, because I understand that as a society, we have these sort of, there's this like magical thinking that we associate with all of these types of things, and there is that, absolutely. Again, we don't want to completely divorce this from the magic, the spirituality, right? That's definitely a part of it. But there's also a psychological part that we cannot also rip away from this. It's all connected. The example I like to give is, think of a taco and guacamole, right? So spirituality is the guacamole, and the taco with the beef and the tortilla plain is psychology, okay? So a taco plain, it's okay. I mean, it's not bad. I've had worse things. I can totally eat it, right? It's fine. Guacamole by itself, same thing. It's fine. I can eat it. I prefer to have a chip or something, but I can eat it by itself. When you combine guacamole and that beef taco tortilla, it elevates it. It elevates it. Your taste buds don't lie, right? So in a very similar way, we don't want to divorce psychology from spirituality. We actually want to try to approach this in a reconciliatory kind of way. I think that's a word. Where we try to create a bridge as opposed to further borders or divisions between spirituality and psychology. And so I also decided to dip my toe into this when there are already plenty of people out there that are diving into this on their, from their own perspectives, from their own takes. I feel like I have something to say about all of this. And I say that because, without getting too deep into my own story, because I hesitate to make this too much about me, even though there are very real life experiences that I've had up until now at my 42 years of age, where I really feel like they've informed the way that I see the world, and they have absolutely put me in an environment where I was going to appreciate what I was being presented. And I say that because coming across the tarot at a time in my life when I was, let's just simplify it, at rock bottom in every way, in every single way. Lost my home, lost my dog, lost my marriage, my job, everything out the window. So the only thing that I had left was nothing. All I had left was my mind, my body, and my soul, quite literally. So the only options that I had, and I say this not joking, and I don't want to make light of what I'm about to say, but I was only left with two choices: either throw in the towel and slowly decay, or quickly, or figure out a way to reconnect with the language of hope. I wasn't comfortable with hoping. Hoping felt dangerous where I was before I came across the tarot. Hoping felt like a death sentence because I had just been completely obliterated. My ego had been cut into 1,000 pieces. And so when I came across the tarot, it gave me the capacity to self-reflect, to see my situation, my environment spelled out back to me very clearly and very accurately. But it also gave me glimpses of what comes afterwards. It also gave me options. It also gave me possibilities. This only works based off of probabilities. Nothing is set in stone. The minute you get up from a reading, everything can change based on your actions, or nothing can change based on your actions. And so coming across tarot and oracle decks, quite frankly, it gave me the language of hope, right? Growth, sadness, flow, ghost. Do you see what I mean? Intuition. It gave me the language that was still deep in my subconscious, but I couldn't access it unless I turned that voice in my mind, the overthinking, the looper, the ego. I learned to quiet it down. And so when I interact with the cards, there's a part of me that steps aside, and then the inner part comes to the forefront. And it's in that weird space between your ego, and your higher self, that a third thing emerges, and that is where the magic really happens. So I don't want to make this too long of a video. I'm not going to draw any cards because that would just make it much longer, but I will be recording another video because I want to actually draw cards to show you all what my intent is with this collective that I'm building. I'll get into that in the reading because I'm very specific as to the community that I want to build here with a lot of intention. I think I'll go ahead and leave it there, but I hope that you get some kind of confidence that I take this very seriously, that I take your energy very seriously, that I take your support and your trust very seriously. I hold the space, as much as we use that phrase too much, and it's become a cliche. I really, I embody that. I hold that in my soul. So I genuinely see holding space for others as a privilege. And so I hope that I've inspired that confidence in you to trust me with your mind, with your soul, with your heart, with your questions, and trust that together we will do the work of finding the path that you need to walk. So stay tuned. I appreciate the support as I get this off the ground after several starts and stops last year, but I'm not giving up. This is absolutely my purpose, and so to be continued.